I think J.D. Vance is trying to throw his meat sandwich at Eric McCurk at point blank range, and poll results, and his take is people fucking hate this guy. They fucking hate ICE. They fucking hate how much power it has. Trump has a 63% overall disapproval, 37% approval. That's lower than this company's poll after January 6th.
We'll start with that.
I'm fucking dying.
These guys are so useless. They're so stupid.
I am dying.
And you see that interview yesterday with Donald? Hey, folks, you've caught me in mid-conversation with Allison, who's crying, laughing. And I said, Allison, we have this election tomorrow, so I want to label this, will American voters reject death, Nazis, and billionaires? And Allison says, okay, we could go with that. Or we could go with he threw his meat sandwich at point-blank range. And Allison's a giddy schoolgirl, and she really wants to talk about it. So who am I? Who am I to keep the small joys in life from Allison Gill? Allison, continue.
Okay, so sandwich guy, his trial starts today. Not his felony trial, right? Because they couldn't get a grand jury to return a felony indictment. They couldn't indict a ham sandwich. So they went with information on a misdemeanor, and they're actually having a trial for sandwich guy. And then the NBC reporting says federal prosecutors opposed his lawyer's motion to dismiss the charge, writing that Dunn was, quote, recorded throwing his meat sandwich at a federal officer at point blank range. I'm like, from now on, if somebody hooks up, it's throwing their meat sandwich. It's at point blank range. I was like, I texted my friend. I was like, I think J.D. Vance is trying to throw his meat sandwich at Eric McCurk at point blank range. And
I heard Benny Johnson throws his meat sandwich a lot at talking point member conferences. And I think J.D. Vance tried to throw his meat sandwich at Erica. Too soon, folks.
Matt Schlapp.
Oh yeah, Schlapp allegedly
sandwich at point blank range.
Schlapp allegedly tries to throw a meat sandwich at point blank range, and sadly, it gets rejected. The funny thing is that for those who don't know who the meat sandwich is, it's the guy in Washington D.C. in the corner where he threw it. Now there's like a memorial or a painting there. He just threw his sandwich at one of these ICE people, and these snowflakes were so triggered that they want to make an example of sandwich guy, who's since then become a national hero.
I want to know what the cop's nickname is now that got the sandwich thrown at him. Because Harry Dunn and I were talking, because, Harry Dunn worked on the Capitol Police for a long time. He's like, that guy is going through hell right now. I guarantee you he's
like, hey, bro, did you catch the meat sandwich? Did you eat the meat sandwich? Did you like the meat sandwich? He goes, shut up, man. Shut up.
What's up, meat sandwich? Like,
what's up, meat sandwich?
They just
BLT, bro. Now. BLT, hold the L and the T. Just give me more B or D. Too soon or not soon enough. This is where we're at, folks. This is the hellscape that we've entered. It's the United States of America, where, as of this recording, for those who are joining us, this is Allison Gill of The Breakdown, and also the editor and creator of the Daily Beans podcast, which you have to subscribe to. Like me, she's a terrible capitalist. Everything is for free, so please subscribe to the Daily Beans of The Breakdown. But polls came out, Allison, today.
God.
The CNN poll has Donald not at the generous 41 that I think Washington Post had him at. It has him at approval 37, which is in line with The Economist. And the ISPOS Washington Post poll had him at 59% unfavorability rating. CNN has him at 65% plus. Things are bad. Meat prices are up. Speaking about meat, record high. So that Subway guy really threw
a sandwich.
His wagyu meat at the guy. And you got grocery prices are up, electricity prices are up. You have SNAP benefits now being partially funded thanks to two judges who came out and said you have to fully fund it. He goes, I'll just partially fund it. I'll save the money instead for my Great Gatsby party. and Mar-a-Lago. $50 billion sent to Milei of Argentina. $172 million for Noam and Corey Lewandowski's private jets. Cash Patel, I don't know if you saw the news, took taxpayer money in a private jet to attend his honeypot girlfriend's country music concert. Should be, as this is happening, folks, and they're throwing a Great Gatsby Roaring 20s party. The economy is in shit. Government shut down. I'm in the DMV right now. Lines around food banks. Your civil servants, good men and women who are public servants in the government, are for the first time in their life freaking about how to make ends meet because they have no pay as the government shut down. And furthermore, Russell Vought is doing everything he can to make sure they don't get back pay. And with all of this, we have the election coming up. And, who knows with America because it's so self-destructive. But I'll tell you this, Allison, Republicans could have been more competitive, probably not with Spanberger, but they probably could have been more competitive with Jones and Hashmi in the lieutenant governor and attorney general race. And Jones might be able to pull it off. Democrats in Virginia might get the trifecta because Republicans overplayed their hand, kept the government shut, and people are lining up at food banks. And that might just be enough for a trifecta in Virginia, Mamdani to win by nearly 10 points, and the government of New Jersey to go, the gubernatorial race to go to the Democrats. Your take on this?
Yeah, Mikey Sherrill, the polls are a lot closer there in New Jersey than they are in Virginia. And I'm assuming it's because Virginia is hardest hit probably by DOGE and the shutdown, which, is going to, I think, result in the trifecta. We'll see. There are over 52,000 elections happening this week around the country. And so this is also a great litmus test for, everyone who's like, we'll never have elections again. We'll see how these go, right?
Yeah.
And we'll see what happens in the aftermath and what happens when the dust settles. But as far as the polling goes, Ben Collins, Tim Onion, he calls himself Tim Apple. Ben Collins, who I think is with Kat Abigazela.
Yeah, they're together.
Who's been indicted for protesting peacefully. He just posted these poll results, and his take is people fucking hate this guy. They fucking hate ICE. They fucking hate how much power it has. Trump has a 63% overall disapproval, 37% approval. That's lower than this company's poll after January 6th. And this poll was done before he started intentionally starving people. And I wish our media would reflect that. And, that last little bit, we could talk about the media for a second, because Teen Vogue, who was doing some incredible reporting, has just cleaned out their entire politics staff. They've all been laid off.
Wow.
Yeah. And Lex McMenamin, they said on their Blue Sky today, I was laid off from Teen Vogue along with multiple other staffers. More to come from me, but to my knowledge, after today, there will be no politics staffers at Teen Vogue, which is, Condé Nast, the oligarchs, corporate media strikes again. And I'll follow Lex McMenamin wherever they go because I love their reporting. But to just do a clean sweep of your politics reporting at Teen Vogue, which was, again, on the forefront. If you've been following or reading Teen Vogue at all, they've been doing some amazing reporting, particularly with what's going on with ICE and DHS, which is now transferring over to the less woke Customs and Border Protection. I don't know if you saw that this week, but they cleaned house at ICE because Trump and Stephen Miller didn't like the way ICE was doing their operations. They prefer the Bovino, Himmler, terrorist Midway Blitz style of operating the Department of Homeland Security. So you thought ICE was bad. Customs and Border Protection is worse. And that's what they're focusing on from here on out. And I think they're probably it was Corey Lewandowski and Greg Bovino that led that charge. Corey Lewandowski, who I think NBC reported is advising Kristi Noem. I don't know what you mean by advising,
with
but
his meat sandwich,
throwing his meat sandwich at point blank range, I think is probably more. an accurate description. But all of that's happening. But meanwhile, there's some, and like you said, the Great Gatsby party, the gold Lincoln bathroom, let them eat cake moment of what we're doing here. And then I shared this great little song from a couple of guys on TikTok about the ballroom. And they're like, why would Lockheed Martin want to help build a ballroom? And then the second verse is, why would Palantir want to help build a ballroom? And then they end it with, Hitler built a ballroom. Yeah. And they like go through the history of Hitler building that ballroom, and it ended up being the bunker. When the shit hit the fan, that's where they all ran. And now Trump has got the exact same plan. And so that's all going on here as well. Because if you are throwing Gatsby parties and being Marie Antoinette, you got to build yourself a fortress to hide in when the pitchforks and torches come for you, right? So, and then we've got Miller and Hegseth and Nome and everybody living on military bases.
There you go.
But the interesting thing about the Kash Patel story was, I think it was Ron Filipkowski over at Midas actually found an old cut of Kash Patel complaining in a news interview about the FBI taking private jets. I don't think they need a G5 to fly wherever they want for their own personal use. And there's always a tweet, right? There's always an interview. There's always something. And again, you're not going to change a lot of hearts and minds on the right with glaring hypocrisy like that. They just don't care. But what people do care about is, like you said, what's shown in this poll, that 72% of people say the economy is shit right now.
There you go.
And that his approval rating is what it was, lower than what it was
lower
after the first coup. So that's not going to bode well, I think, this week in the elections for them. Like you said, Virginia specifically hard hit by what this administration is doing. But there's, again, elections all across the country, from water board and school board up to state legislature, special elections, mayoral elections, gubernatorial races. And I think we're going to get a little bit of a taste of what could happen in 2026 in the midterms here in 2025. So I think everybody's going to be having their eyes on this. And I'm sorry if my face is red, but I've just been laughing at the meat sandwich.
These are the small joys in life as everything's going to hell and America's turning into a shit sandwich. And it's going to get worse, folks. And Americans
are finally... just to warn, I do think that sandwich guy could actually get convicted on simple assault. He did throw a sandwich.
But you know what? He'll be a hero for life. I'm the dude who threw the sandwich. Like, wherever he goes, he'll get a free sandwich in DC. I guarantee it, for the rest of his life. Everything's coming to a head. I said that the two things that could bring down Donald Trump, potentially, well, I've always said the Achilles cankles is the Epstein files, and rumors are here in Allison. I'm sure you've heard it as well. And by here, I mean the DMV, that they're going to by Republicans will keep the government shut down not only till the end of November, but if it looks really bad, they're going to keep it down for the rest of the year. Because, folks, they still haven't sworn in Adelita Grijalva, who it's been now nearly 5 weeks. She's waiting. They could swear her in pro forma, but she will give the 218th vote for the House to release the Epstein files. Virginia Giuffre's book is a bestseller. Prince Andrew had to relinquish his titles. Epstein files ain't going away. Another Achilles cankle that I said was the economy. The economy is now in the shitters. Many economic analysts say we're actually in a recession. Most states are in a recession. Like we mentioned, for those who are joining us late, the grocery prices are sky high. Meat prices are sky high. Meat sandwiches prices are sky high. Electricity prices are sky high. Healthcare premiums are about to double. This is all before the permanent tax cuts for the billionaires, which will come at the expense of Medicaid, folks. The tariffs are very unpopular. Trade war is very unpopular. Inflation is still high. Job market is contracting. Private sector isn't hiring. All of this is a sign, folks, that we're heading into, God forbid, not just a recession, but something even worse. And they're hyperinflating AI, going all in the crypto grift. So it's only a matter of time. And inshallah, when this crypto bubble bursts, probably in a couple of years. But it's all being set up, and they're drinking all of our milkshake. They're drinking up all the milkshakes because, as we said before, they have no interest. You just have to listen to them, folks. Trust the evidence of your eyes and ears. They have no interest in saving humanity. They think humanity is done. They think Earth is done. That's why they're talking about terraforming, space shuttles to Mars, living forever, right? Augmenting themselves with AI, having extended lives and replacing people with AI, both workers and soldiers, to protect themselves from the mass uprising because they realize there will be an uprising.
Did
You were
you see
saying
that this latest tranche of Epstein files that have come out is that Epstein was the reason that there's people from MIT and scientists and stuff on his list of people who he met with is because he was trying to figure out a way to freeze his head or, live on beyond himself, for these exact reasons. I mean, that's what
we're
this
not making this up,
oligarchy,
folks. We're not making
that's what
this.
this,
Even Larry Ellison, who's the daddy of David Ellison, the nepo baby, who've gobbled up CBS, Paramount, TikTok, and want to take over Warner Brothers and Discovery, the largest private donor of the IDF, says, "I believe I should live forever. I shouldn't die." All of them are terrified of death. Epstein was terrified of death. Um, this other guy, the Nazi Musk, Thiel, all of them, they're gobbling up all the milkshake. But the problem is this, Allison, overreach. They're like the who's that guy from Family Guy? I always think of them like an evil the guy Giggity 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 whoever that guy.
oh, giggity. Let's see. Giggity.
He always
That's
sees a girl.
Quagmire.
Quagmire. They're like evil fascist quagmire. They can't help themselves. They get too much power. They're flush with power. They're too arrogant. Look at Kash Patel. Look at Kristi Noem. They
My
think they've
generation
won.
would say Beavis, right?
Yeah, yeah, hello, Cornholio. Oh, but I don't want to. I don't want to denigrate Beavis. Like, oh, so these are these people now who they've overreached with their arrogance, their recklessness, their greed, their appetites, and they are now thinking they're in power forever. And the problem with power and the problem with arrogance, it also makes you lazy and it makes you a bit reckless, Allison, and it makes you not look at your left and right flank, especially when you're surrounded by reeks. You get kind of, if you will, a callous disregard for humanity. And I think what we're witnessing, and this is where I have a little bit of hope, no King's Rally, people canceling Disney subscriptions, the cancel Spotify, which is hurting Spotify, folks. If you have Spotify, cancel. There's a boycott. And, we talked about this in Wisconsin. Remember Elon Musk, folks? Alice and I like to bring receipts. Elon Musk spent $20 million in the Wisconsin Supreme Court race. I mean, more money was spent than in any other race. And she won. The liberal judge won by, wasn't it 11 points, Allison?
Yeah. Yep. It was.
And now I think this could be a good reckoning because, in addition to potentially a trifecta in Virginia, potentially Cheryl winning in governor in New Jersey, even though it's close, Mamdani winning, which is driving the entire establishment, including Chuck Schumer, like just the world's worst people are melting down. It's exquisite. Prop 50. Tell us about Prop 50 because you're in San Diego.
Yeah. There's a lot of folks were initially worried about the mail, so people were using the drop boxes. But if you haven't received your notification, because we have ballot tracking here from Ballot Tracks in California, where you get a text message, your vote was received, your vote was counted, etc. If you haven't received that, but you sent one in, you can always go to the polls on November 4th and ask to see if you're eligible to vote, see if you can get a provisional ballot. They won't count it twice. It's not illegal. Just tell them your concerns that you haven't received a notification from Ballot Tracks. They might be able to help you look it up. But it's been polling, it's been ahead in the polls since the jump, right? And now that, I think that Obama getting on board also really helped that out, especially with some of the more establishment folks. Kind of like how I think Obama, didn't he this week call Mamdani and say that he loves the way he's running his campaign and this should be a model for all Democrats going forward? And I'm like, thank you, because, we need people to
Because the
understand and
date
listen.
is November 3rd, Allison, and Schumer has yet to endorse Mamdani. He's still waiting for the right moment. Again, the date is November 3rd. Allison, can you remind everyone when voting is, when the elections are?
Yeah, that's tomorrow. And it's actually been going on for a couple weeks, but early vote. And, a lot of folks were upset that Obama didn't outright endorse Mamdani, but I want to remind everyone he's never endorsed anyone for mayor except for one time, and that was Mayor Bass here in Los Angeles, and it was because it was like a tenth of a point difference in the polls with the Republican who was a Democrat that switched parties to trick everyone. And so that's the only time Obama's ever endorsed a mayoral candidate. He doesn't endorse people a lot of the time. He'd rather be a coach or whatever. But anyway, he called up Mamdani and said, "I can be a sounding board for you. Once you win this, I love the way you're handling your elections." And I think it's an important moment for the establishment arm of the Democratic Party to hear from its establishment king. No, not king. Uh, democratically elected former president Obama, who I love. I've got an Obama tattoo. I'm not, no shade. Um, that this is the way forward. And it's not about, we've talked about this so many times, and I've only got another 5 minutes left here, but it's
Yeah.
not about the policies. It's about the kind of campaign that you run. And that kind of campaign, that template can be applied to a very purple district in Georgia. And the template is simple. Go around, talk to the people, knock on doors, find out what they want, and run on that. And then, of course, the overarching thing, run on affordability. You can run on affordability
That's it.
anywhere. And so to relegate him as some sort of democratic socialist, he's a Democrat. He's a registered Democrat. He is a democratic socialist, but he's a registered Democrat because he understands that we have a two-party system. As much as we don't like that, it is what it is, and we can't fix that before the next election, right? So he's running as a Democrat, and I personally don't think there's anything in his policies that would upset a centrist, but maybe a landlord. But I think that the broader understanding of building a democratic coalition going forward in the huge tent that we have is to say, hey, whatever your policies are, if you're on the left, if you're against MAGA, if you're against the oligarchy, if you're against the billionaires, whatever your policies are, go around door to door in your district and find out what the people want and run on that. And I think that's I think that's a kind of a pretty big shift in the way the Democratic Party has been looking at these things. And I'm glad whoever leaked that story and that phone call, I hope it's somebody from Obama's team, to the Times, meant for us to understand that, or meant for some folks to understand that, to put it in the mainstream. And that's super important because he's going to win. And then what happens to the elections of somebody like Chuck Schumer when somebody like AOC runs against him, if she runs against him? Do you know what I'm saying?
No, I know exactly what you're saying because Hakeem Jeffries yesterday said Mamdani does not represent the present and future of the party, and they still want to suck at the corporate teat. They still want to support Netanyahu and AIPAC in Israel, and that day is done. And
Why
they are
can't he
trying.
even just say, why can't he even just say, I don't know if his policies represent the future of the Democratic Party, but his model of how he ran represents the future of the Democratic Party? Why
Because
can't
that
he
makes them
say that?
into dinosaurs, Allison. That makes them into dinosaurs, and that goes against their fundamental being. They're not built for this moment. They're not made for this fight. They still believe in restoration, not reformation. They believe in a stopgap that still sucks at the corporate teeth. Their donors have told them Mamdani is a threat. My fear is after Mamdani wins, the establishment, I'm not talking about Democrat, I'm talking about the establishment, including the billionaires, Republicans, the Islamophobes, AIPAC supporters, and Democratic leadership will do everything in their power to destroy him. But you have an open lane here, folks. Mamdani's shown it to you. Affordability, a joyous campaign. You fight. You don't leave anyone behind. We, the 99%, are against the bad guy, the oligarchy, and we have to take out the oligarchy or weaken the oligarchy so everyone can eat. It's a winning message across the board. There's a reason why they're resisting it, because that would mean they would have to fundamentally alter their entire being, which is right now sucking at the teat of corporate power. The type
Now
of
I think you've got the Schumers and the Clintons who have backed Cuomo, which blows my mind. That's just insane. That faction of the Democratic Party, and then you've got there's two factions of establishment Democrats. There's the Obama Mamdanis, and then there's the Clinton Schumers, right? Hakeem Jeffries wants to be on both sides of that, which is why he's like, it's not the future of the party, but I endorse him, meh. But he knows he needs Mamdani more than Mamdani needs him.
Absolutely.
And so, or at least what Mamdani's built, maybe not the man specifically, but what he's built and his template. And I don't think voters are going to be excited about somebody who's wishy-washy like that. I just don't.
Especially going back full circle as things are about to get far worse, as the government is shut down, as government employees are at food banks, as people can't afford meat, as people can't afford groceries, as Trump and the oligarchy are literally partying in our face. The rich are getting richer. Kash Patel's taking private jets for his honeypot, and people are about to get hit with skyrocketing healthcare premiums and Medicaid cuts are coming. Do you think the centrist pro-establishment wing of the Democratic Party is the future? If you do, your head is in the sand. You're not paying attention. The people won't take it, folks. Run on affordability, run against the oligarchy. You have a wide open lane, and you can run the circles around these Republicans. I'm going to let you go, Allison. Before I let you go, shamelessly promote yourself.
I will. And before I do that, I just want to say that where I'm drawing the line with the Democratic Party is right down between the Obamas and the Clintons. Everybody over here, that's the Democratic Party. If you want to be a moderate, a centrist, I wouldn't even put the Democratic tag on your name.
I
It's going to
agree.
be a lot easy. It's going to be a lot easier to remove that small group of corporate establishment Dems from the Democratic Party than it would be to create a whole new situation. Do you know what I'm saying? I say we remove and reform. It's
Culling.
it's, it's
I've
like
been saying culling. I've been saying
it's like
culling for
10,
I
it's like 10 of them. There's like 10 of them. Like
get rid
it's
of.
easier to get rid of the 10 than it is to change the name of the other 8 million bazillion. Just my
Absolutely.
2 cents. Everybody, take a look at my latest episode of The Breakdown. It's over on Midas. You can find it on my Substack, MuellerSheWrote.com. It's free. I'll also be going live tonight, 7:30 p.m. Eastern with Adam Klasfeld to talk about the 11th
Great.
Circuit, kicking Eileen Cannon in the butt and saying, hey, you got to decide on this volume 2 of Jack Smith's final report, which none of us have seen. So we're a step closer to maybe seeing volume 2 of that report, which Trump is doing his level best, along with Eileen Cannon, to keep hidden from the public. So I'll be here on Substack at MuellerSheWrote.com to talk about that. And again, all my stuff is free. All of it's free. We're bad capitalists. But if you have the means and you want to support independent media, great. It's completely voluntary. It's like an NPR situation. Not everybody can swing it right now because healthcare is going up 8 million%. So
But you could
anyway,
subscribe for free. You could subscribe for free to the Breakdown, to Daily Beans, to the Left Hook. We will never charge. It will always, inshallah, be without paywall. People should be informed as we fight for our democracy against, I use the word, fascists. If you need any proof, open your eyes, listen to them, folks. Allison, I'll let you go. I'm going to stay on for 2 more minutes just because I just want to troll these Islamophobes who are melting down over Mamdani's win. I just need to enjoy this for a second. And also, I need to enjoy the civil war that I predicted, I think we predicted, between the Groypers and the GOP. Because I don't know if you paid attention, but now leopards eat faces, Allison. Leopards eat faces. It's Nick Fuentes versus Ben Shapiro versus Tucker Carlson versus the Heritage Foundation. Fascists come for everyone. We kept warning them. And the reason why I want to spend 2 minutes after you leave, I know you have to leave. Allison has a heart out. That's why she could say it, but she has a heart out. I just want people to know that there's another fissure I want you all to divide and conquer. Thank you, Allison.
how do I leave but leave you here? Just hit the
I
X?
think you pressed the X.
All right, I'm going to do it. I'm going to press the X. Bye, everybody. Thanks for listening.
All right, folks. There's 1,500, 1,600 people joining us. Just give me 2 minutes. Let's be petty. Fascists come for everyone. And, thankfully you're a normie and you haven't spent time researching the right wing movement. I've been doing it for a while. Ever since I got into commentary work, gosh, it's been almost 20 years. I was supposed to be a playwright. I was supposed to write novels. I wrote and published a play. It's called The Domestic Crusaders, and right there. And I wrote a memoir, and I did that. Maybe inshallah one day I'll get back to it. But I came of age during the War on Terror. I was a 21-year-old UC Berkeley student, a leader of the Muslim Student Association. And we've been in it since then. And we've been warning, especially those of us who marched, that the war on terror, which was a choice, was going to be disastrous. And we kept warning the Islamophobia that was normalized was going to be turned against the American public. And we kept warning, all of us did. I know it wasn't just Muslims, Arabs, hundreds of thousands of people marched and warned that the military industrial complex was going to come after all of us. The Patriot Act was going to come after all of us. ICE was going to be unleashed against all of us. ICE was created after the war on terror. This Islamophobia will be used and abused by the worst people on earth to fill their coffers. That's what happened. And Trump doubled down on the Islamophobia. I want people to remember that it was Obama, right? Barack Obama, the birther conspiracy was both anti-black racism and Islamophobia. Even the Democrats said, "Oh, he says he's not Muslim. I'll take him at his word." That was 2007. Even the Democrats did it during the primaries because it was between Clinton and Obama. And people forget that even Hillary Clinton said, "I'll take him at his word," right? And so then you had the anti-Sharia laws, you had Donald Trump, you had the birther conspiracy. You had all of this. And I remember at that time, for those who, I've said this a few times before, around 2011, I was a lead author and researcher of this report called Fear Incorporated, The Roots of the Islamophobia Network in America. It was supposed to be a 20-page report, ended up being a 138-page report. All of those extremists, folks, were part and parcel of the Republican Party. But I want to remind you all that the Republican Party vomited them out. They said, there's no future. We can't have these freaks. These are too egregious. However, as these people were vomited out, the person who embraced them was Steve Bannon. And there was a Tea Party revolt. And I kept warning anyone and everyone I could. That Fear Incorporated, Fear Inc., The Roots of the Islamophobia Network was a think tank report that both Republicans and Democrats told me they introduced to the Obama White House. They said this is a big deal. And so dyed in the wool old school conservatives said, "You're right. This is important. This has infected the Republican Party." You can see it online. It's called Fear Incorporated: The Roots of the Islamophobia Network. We map it all out. These are freaks. And we had Republicans back in the day, the establishment Republicans, say, "Okay, we're done with this." They had also lost the election again. And they remember they had this whole plan to win over Latinos. They did an audit. Well, they went in the opposite direction. They went in the Steve Bannon white nationalist direction. And then the Tea Party rose up. The Tea Party then got rid of the establishment Republicans like Eric Cantor. Happened right here in Virginia, where David Brat came out and knocked out the establishment Republican. And they had their own revolution, their own reformation with the Tea Party. And this country did everything in its power, folks, everything in its power to coddle and infantilize the racism of the Tea Party. People of color said it is the racism as the main driver. And they're like, no, no, no. Economic anxiety, right? All the old heads like me, trust me, y'all with me, remember this? And we're like, folks, it's the fact that Obama's president, the fact that it's people worried about majority minority country. It is racism that is the driver behind it, right? They're like, no, 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 how dare you? Okay, that led, if you will, paved the ground. Yeah, the Sarah Palin. Sarah Palin was John McCain's running mate, right? And Steve Bannon said that Sarah Palin, she's the present and future, but she flamed out. So then where did he find Donald Trump? So you had the Southern strategy, the racism, the Frankenstein monster that they kind of unleashed, as Lee Atwater said in 1980. You can't say the N-word, N-word, N-word anymore. You got to use other words like welfare queen, busing. Then they had the white Christian nationalism with George W. Bush. Then they had the Tea Party. Then they had the next iteration, which was Donald Trump. Now, Donald Trump is the past. Donald Trump is no longer, if you will, freakish enough to get their peepees up, right? It's like porn. They get so addicted to porn that the old school porn isn't enough. Now you need choking. After choking, you need whipping. After whipping, you need anime. After anime, you need to like create new holes, right? It's like drugs. Give me more, give me more, give me more. Give me the next best thing, right? So even Trumpism isn't enough. Even Kash Patel isn't enough. Even Ben Shapiro isn't enough. Even Charlie Kirk isn't enough. The Groypers. The Groypers came into the mainstream in the past, if you will, 8 years by trolling Charlie Kirk for not being right-wing enough. Let me repeat that. The Groypers trolled Charlie Kirk for not being right-wing enough. I've been warning about it. Anyone who watches Democracy-ish, reads me, I've been saying, folks, pay attention. Pay attention. Donald Trump dined with Nick Fuentes, the leader of this Groyper movement, right? I did say they're going to create new holes. I went there. Allison got me in the meat sandwich mode. Nick Fuentes dined with Donald Trump 2.5 years ago. Kanye West, pre-Nazi, post-hardcore anti-Semite, brought Nick Fuentes to meet with Donald Trump. He dined with Fuentes and Kanye West. Just Google it right now. I've been on it for 2.5 years. I said, folks, this is the big news. For 2.5 years, I've always asked main corporate media, ask Donald Trump to reject Nick Fuentes. Ask Donald Trump if he regrets meeting with him. They did ask him. He says, who's that? Huh? Nick Fuentes? I didn't know anything about him. What? CZ, who's that? I pardoned him, huh? Binance, my business partner. I don't know anything about him. Just said that a couple of days ago. That's when I knew. Oh shit. Nick Fuentes is the future. Donald Trump, according to a Guardian article that was written, deliberately chose not to condemn Nick Fuentes because he realized it would hurt his base, which is why he went all in with the QAnon conspiracy. Because, oh, the base is there. Even though the FBI warned in 2020 before the violent insurrection that QAnon could radicalize individuals and groups to committing violence. And that's what happened. Ashley Babbitt, who's now a hero, like I wrote about 4.5 years ago in Daily Beast, she became a martyr, radicalized by QAnon. Vance Bolter, the guy who had a hit list of 70 liberals he wanted to kill in Minnesota, killed Melissa Hortman, her father, her husband, and their pet, was radicalized in part by QAnon. Right? Trump embraced it. Right? You need a new hit, a new drug. Give me something more, something more. Cocaine ain't enough. Give me something more. That porn that you gave me it ain't doing for me. Give me something more violent, more disgusting, more freakish. Right? So now, why am I saying all this? I'm just taking a DeLorean of hate. It's like the DeLorean of hate. Lo and behold, a couple of days ago, Heritage Foundation, Kevin Roberts. Heritage Foundation is the publisher of Project 2025, the main anchor of the conservative movement as far as the think tanks go. Kevin Roberts decided to do a 4-minute video looking right at the camera saying, "We will not abandon Tucker Carlson. We support him. We don't agree on everything, but it's fine." Why did he do that? Because Tucker Carlson last week decided to have, if you will, a rapprochement with Nick Fuentes. They were at each other, but they decided to have a meeting of the minds. Tucker Carlson invited Nick Fuentes, and they were friendly with each other. That to me again was, oh shit, folks. The Groypers have taken over. I've been saying it for a while. This is a week, 2 weeks after we saw the 2,900 pages of Telegram messages where young Republican leaders in their 30s and 20s were openly promoting edgelord online neo-Nazi shitposting behavior, right? Hitler was based. I love Hitler. Rape is epic. 1488. 1488 is the white nationalist slogan. The 14 words of white supremacists. The slogan 88 for Hail Hitler. 8 being the eighth letter of the alphabet H. That's if you ever hear 1488. It's the white supremacist slogan. That's what they were saying. Paul Ingrassia had to withdraw his nomination. Trump nominated him to be the head of a watchdog. He said, I have a Nazi streak. That Republican intern for the congressman with the Hitler swastika. Like, what more do you need to see? Neo-Nazi conspiracies being promoted by J.D. Vance about Haitians, right? So all of this is happening. I've been paying attention because I'm like, oh shit, if the Heritage Foundation is going on with Tucker, who's on with white nationalists, that means they're all in with Nick Fuentes. And then you saw the Civil War brewing. And then you saw all these right-wing Zionist Jews for Donald Trump now saying, how dare the Heritage Foundation do this? And I was sitting there going, leopards eat faces. And then you saw the attack on J.D. Vance, the Groypers, Nick Fuentes, right? Usha Vance, the biracial kids. He's been on it for a while. You married a Jeet, which is their racist way of talking about Usha. You saw the Erica Kirk meeting. You saw J.D. Vance at a Turning Points USA conference a couple of days ago where he had that scandalous embrace with Erica Kirk and he threw Usha under the bus and said, I wish you would convert. The people who asked him these questions, the people who pressed him about this were Groypers, because that's what they did at Turning Point conferences with Charlie Kirk, pushing him further and further to the right. So, Heritage Foundation and the right wing, if you haven't been following, it's a huge internal fight, right? Because a lot of these right wing Jews like Bill Ackman and Podderetz and Barry Weiss and Ben Shapiro and others, how dare you? And all these Indian MAGA, oh yes, this Hindutva, Hindu fascist Indian MAGA folks are like, how dare he? And right now, Lara Trump is going to speak at a conference between Indian MAGA and Jewish MAGA. I'm not making this up. Jewish MAGA and Indian MAGA are having a joint conference and Lard Trump is speaking, which me and my friends are like, oh, the anti-Muslim conference, because they aligned with MAGA to crush Palestinians, to crush Muslims, to crush the woke, and to get tax cuts. And we kept saying, and I've been warning a lot of self-described Zionist Jews, Zionist liberals, I'm like, the alliance you've made, these leopards are going to eat your faces. And what they said was, nah, we'll be okay. Nah, we'll be all right. We'll keep them contained. ADL, case in point. Look, how ADL sits there with the mild language. Remember when Elon Musk did the Zig Heil twice? Remember they said, oh, it's an exuberant display. Remember that? And look at what ADL said against Mahmoud Khalil, like literally going all in on crushing Mahmoud Khalil, all in and defaming him. Mahmoud Khalil, who missed the birth of his daughter, who was in a detention in Louisiana for over 100 days with zero crimes, zero evidence of any crimes. Crush the pro-Palestinians, crush the woke, crush the workers, crush the Muslims. And we kept saying, leopards eat faces, all faces. And now, folks, there is an outright war in MAGA. Barry Weiss retweeted a Ben Shapiro video because they used to, the Groypers, in addition to trolling Charlie Kirk, you know who they used to troll and hate? And they still hate? Ben Shapiro, because they're anti-Semites. And now Ben Shapiro says, Groypers don't represent MAGA. Nick Fuentes doesn't represent MAGA. This is not who we are. And Barry Weiss said, requoted him and said all of this, what Ben said. And I requoted Barry Weiss said, this is the present and future of the GOP. You helped create this. You are complicit. And so, folks, if you want to create some divides, and I think you should, what Nick Fuentes tweeted, in addition to just mocking and ridiculing JD Vance, he said, you're a gay, fat, overweight, chubby Jeet, married to a Jeet, which is like a racist term for Indians. He also said the questions that were asked of JD Vance at Turning Point USA were all about what's your connections to Palantir, Peter Thiel's company, because Peter Thiel groomed JD Vance. How do you justify being married to a Hindu, Usha Vance? When are you going to release the Epstein files? And there was another question, right? So the fact that those four questions were asked, I'm forgetting the fourth, Nick Fuentes is bragging. Groyper has asked that question, and we are the future of the GOP. We've taken over. And if he condemns us, if he condemns the Groypers, we're going to be at every single JD Vance event. We're going to be at every single Turning Points USA. You can't stop us. Is Fuentes gay? I don't know, but he says having sex with women is gay. So I don't know. I think the Groypers or Groyper adjacent shit posting edgelord racists, the 4chan crowd, is the present future of the GOP. You have to ask yourself, what's after Trump? That's what's after Trump, which is terrifying. And if you don't believe me, look at the young Republicans and their 2,900 Telegram messages. Go read it. Politico has it out there. They're eating each other alive. They're eating each other alive. All of them are enemy. Okay. Oh, Israel. Israel was the fourth question. So the fissure points are Epstein. The fissure points are America First Israel. The fissure points is this fidelity to Peter Thiel, which is interesting. I think we can use that also because everyone hates Palantir. And it's the overt racism. And they're all terrible people. None of them are good. Use them to take each other out. As Ken Watanabe's character said in the Godzilla, let them fight. Megan, it is okay to be gay. In addition to be homophobic and anti-Semitic, they also hate women. They hate women. They hate women so much that they say it's gay to have sex with women. They're incel. It's part of the incel culture. And when Tucker Carlson and Nick Fuentes were talking about, like, well, Tucker Carlson was saying, well, divorce, people are getting divorced. Why are they getting divorced? Oh, what's happening with these divorce rates? Who's to blame? What's to blame? What's to blame? And Nick Fuentes said, the women. And Tucker said, yeah, I think you're right. They hate women. They really hate women. The misogyny oftentimes is never ever talked about. The Islamophobia, the anti-black racism, the xenophobia, the anti-Semitism, the misogyny is just a key pillar of fascists across the board. So I wanted to spend a little bit of time on that. I had to get that off my chest. And it's good. We need to expose these fissures, help divide and conquer, pit them against each other. They're stuck. They're stuck. They're stuck. They have allowed this wolf into the hen house. They thought they could control it. They can't. And I'm telling you, even Trump isn't right-wing enough for them. They're going to turn on Trump. So use it to crush them. All of them are our enemy, but divide and conquer, folks. Divide and conquer. You just watch it. Go right now. Watch Shapiro versus Fuentes, Heritage Foundation, now in knots, Carlson and MTG and Fuentes and Thomas Massey versus the establishment. Even MTG knows where the wind is blowing. She even knows where the wind is blowing. She's terrible, folks. She's terrible. Never forget she's terrible, but she has greater aspirations. So she blames Mike Johnson for the shutdown because she says, oh shit, this economy is going bad. I know my base. They're going to turn on the economy, release the Epstein files. Oh shit, I know over 80% of Americans want the Epstein files released. Israel, why are we supporting Israel? I see where the wind is blowing. 35% of MAGA is against it, and now a majority of Americans and a majority of the Democratic Party is against it. So watch, she's still terrible. And to connect the dots further, she spoke at the Nick Fuentes conference. So you're seeing this new wedge and this little fissure happening, which is a big fissure, and you're seeing them get more and more Nazi, which is terrifying, but divide and conquer, weaken them. And the world's worst Islamophobes are melting down over Mamdani. Laura Loomer's freaking out. Uh, all of the crazy right-wing racist Zionists are freaking out. You're having that freak, the neckbeard, Matt Walsh, freaking out. He's been freaking out all week. Enjoy. Take their tears, make it sugar for your coffee and chai. Uh, Mock them, ridicule them, troll them, divide and conquer. But most importantly, go vote. Go vote. Go vote. Go vote. Don't take anything for granted. I got to go catch a plane, but I'm a freak. I was still working. Thank you all. I'll see you hopefully tomorrow. I'm going to the Bay Area. I'm speaking with Left Hook recurring guest Gil Duran of the Nerd Reich on election day. I'm speaking at the Commonwealth Club in conversation with Gil Duran about how to defeat fascism with humor, heart, and hummus. Heart, because we need an empathetic vision, a better story that lifts all of us. Humor as a sword, mockery, ridicule works, but also humor as catharsis. And hummus because you can't defeat them with a monoculture. You need a multicultural coalition of the willing. You need diversity. You need all of us because we make life delicious. So it might be up later, but it'll be up tomorrow. But everyone else, vote, vote, vote. And I'll try to put up some of these conversations later today. Take care, everyone. Be kind, be decent. This is the Left Hook. Everything is free. If you have a few dollars, please, please become a paid subscriber. It'll go such a long way. I'm at 93,000 subscribers. Most of them are free. That's fine. But if you can become a paid subscriber, it's independent. I've kept it as cheap as I can. And it helps me just do this and be as independent. And whatever you do, don't be a fascist. Take care, everyone.